The quiet of the apartment was deafening. The only sound was the occasional hum of the refrigerator and the distant murmur of traffic outside. The protagonist was lost in thought, a deep sense of isolation creeping over them. Alone in their dimly lit apartment, they had almost grown used to the silence. Life had felt ordinary, uneventful, even boring. But that was about to change in a way they could never have anticipated. Without warning, a tremendous crash echoed through the room, shaking the floor beneath their feet. It felt as though the very foundation of the building had been ripped apart. The protagonist's pulse quickened, their heart hammering in their chest. What the hell was that? They jumped to their feet, their breath shallow, scanning the room for any sign of danger. The walls were trembling, and the windows rattled. A sense of dread washed over them. Fear. It wasn't natural. Nothing about it made sense. They rushed to the window, heart racing, and peered outside, hoping to catch sight of some explanation. There was nothing. The streets below were eerily calm. No signs of anything unusual. Then, without warning, the sound came again. This time, louder, more powerful. The very air around them seemed to shudder. And then, it happened. The wall to their right cracked open like paper, splintering into pieces. The floor beneath their feet rumbled as if something massive was pushing against the building itself. Before the protagonist could even react, an enormous figure emerged from the wreckage, stepping through the shattered remains of the wall like it was made of cardboard. They froze. A 12-foot-tall creature stepped forward, her silhouette framed by the dust and debris. Her skin was a dark, iridescent shade, her body covered in scales that shimmered in the dim light. Her eyes, glowing violet, intense and unnervingly human, locked onto the protagonist, and for a moment it felt as though the entire universe had focused on them alone. She was impossibly tall, her broad shoulders tapering into a sleek waist. Her muscular frame, rippling with power, seemed to dwarf the entire room. Her face was both beautiful and terrifying. Her features were sharp, her eyes glowing with an unsettling, primal intensity. She was an alien, but she didn't look entirely alien. There was something almost human about her. Something that stirred an intense, inexplicable pull deep within the protagonist. Without a word, she stepped forward, her presence overwhelming. The air around her seemed to shimmer with heat, her body radiating a force that made the protagonist feel small, insignificant. Every step she took sent vibrations through the floor, and the protagonist could feel their heart pounding louder with each one. When she finally spoke, her voice was low and rich, carrying a strange cadence, one that felt both alien and alluring. "I have come for you," she said, her words reverberating in the room. "I am here to mate." The proclamation was so calm, so assured, that for a moment, the protagonist thought they had misunderstood. What? They stammered, their voice barely above a whisper, almost as if they were afraid to believe what they were hearing. The alien's lips curled slightly as she stepped closer, towering over them. Her immense size made the protagonist feel utterly helpless, but at the same time, they couldn't help but feel an undeniable pull toward her. The air between them thickened, charged with a strange tension. Her gaze was intense, yet strangely comforting, and the protagonist felt an overwhelming sense of being seen in a way they never had before. "I'm not here to harm you," she continued, her voice gentle yet firm. "I'm here because my species is dying. We can only survive if we mate with your kind. You are the chosen one." The protagonist shook their head in disbelief, trying to comprehend what she was saying. Chosen? For what? She stepped closer, and the warmth of her body seemed to suffocate the space between them. "To ensure the survival of my species, to help us evolve and thrive, we must breed with your kind to continue." The words hit the protagonist like a shockwave, leaving them disoriented, breathless. Their mind raced, struggling to process this impossible reality. How could this be real? How could it be happening? "You're insane," the protagonist whispered, shaking their head. Her eyes softened slightly, though the intensity remained. She didn't seem angry, merely resolute, as if her purpose was something she couldn't question. "I know this is hard for you to understand, but this is not a request. It is a necessity. Your refusal is not an option." The air in the room thickened again, and the protagonist's head swam with confusion and fear. They felt their pulse racing in their chest. There was something irresistible about her presence. She wasn't just an alien. She wasn't just some powerful being sent from another planet. She was more than that. She was captivating, terrifying, but captivating nonetheless. "I don't know what you want from me," the protagonist said, their voice shaking. The alien Beastwoman stepped even closer, her large hand reaching out and brushing against their cheek. Her touch was surprisingly soft, despite her immense strength. The warmth from her fingers sent a jolt through the protagonist's body, and they couldn't stop the shiver that ran down their spine. "I want nothing from you except your willingness," she said, her voice low, almost a whisper. "This is how it must be, for both of us. We were destined to meet." The protagonist took a step back, trying to process the words. The reality of the situation crashed over them like a tidal wave. This wasn't a dream. This wasn't some strange fantasy. This was real. An alien creature, powerful beyond belief, was standing before them, claiming that their very future depended on them. They felt caught between fear and an inexplicable curiosity, unsure of what to do or how to respond. The alien Beastwoman tilted her head, sensing the protagonist's uncertainty. "I understand that you are afraid, but know this, there is no turning back. If you refuse, my people will not survive." "I will not survive." Her gaze pierced them, and the protagonist felt a strange surge of something they couldn't quite identify. Was it pity? Compassion? Or was it something darker, something more primal? They didn't know. "I can't," they began, but her hand moved swiftly, cupping their face. The touch, though gentle, held an undeniable authority, making them stop. "You don't have to be afraid of what comes next," she said softly. "I won't hurt you." And for the first time, the protagonist wasn't sure if she was talking about the mating or something else altogether.